Ganna has identified 9 steps process called the events of instruction. This process includes the sequence of instructional events and corresponding learning process that guide the instruction. So according to him, there are 9 steps. So if you follow the 9 steps, you are in a position to teach the children, right? So what are the 9 steps we'll be seeing? First, what are the 9 steps? That is gain attention. The first step is gaining the attention, right? Inform learners of objective. First of all, before starting, students should be attentive. So you ensure that students are attentive. That will be your first step, right? What is the second step? Second step is nothing but inform learners of objective. These are the things you are going to learn. They should know what they are supposed to learn. So then that makes them very interesting, right? So that will be your second step, right? And next one is stimulate recall of prior learning. So whatever students has learned before, they should know that. So you have to give some exercise or something that gives the understanding of the prior learning which is required for today what they are going to learn. Okay, with simple questions you may ask your students so that they may tell whatever they want to that is needed for the prior learning. So inform learners of the objective, stimulate recall of prior learning, present the content. Next step is you have to present the content what you are going to teach. Then provide learning guidance. So after presenting the content, you are going to help them how they are going to learn. Next is elicit performance. Give some examples of whatever you have taught. Then after that, give them feedback. They have done something, no? Some question you ask them to solve. Then give them feedback, and whatever you have next, the important step is assess performance. Whether they are able to do it or not able to do it, give some questions and try to assess. Give some examples. Let them solve it. Then you can assess their performance. And the last step is whatever they have learned, they should keep in their memory. So enhance retention and transfer. For that you have to recall and you have to rehearse everything whatever is done. Recapitulation we call it, right? So that has to be done so that it enters in their memory. So these are the 9 steps for learning. So by following these events, the necessary conditions of learning should be satisfied. These events should also be the basis for designing instruction. When you design an instruction, you should think that all the 9 steps you are going to follow and select the appropriate media for learning. What you are going to use, you may be using the blackboard or overhead projector, what you are going to use so that learning happens properly. So the 9-step instructional events could be used in the teaching of classifying polynomials. This is an example for classifying polynomial. All the 9 steps can be used. By using each step, students could gain an understanding of what polynomials are. First one is what are polynomials? What their purpose is, why they are teaching you, why they are learning polynomial, and how they can be applied to problem situation. When there is a problem situation, how this knowledge of polynomial will help them. The conditions of learning theory is quite relevant to instructional use. It allows the instructor to first understand how learning takes place and different types that occur. How the learning takes place, what are the different types which occurs when during the learning. That it assists in providing the type of instruction needed based on that information. So what are the type of instruction that for that particular thing you are going to teach for a particular lesson? What is the type of instruction which is most appropriate? The most important thing to remember about the conditions of learning is that different instruction is required for different learning outcomes. If you are going to teach about geometry, then you need a different learning outcome, and if you are going to teach the students about the polynomials or algebra or trigonometry, so what are the different things you are going to follow? It's not same for all. Right now we are going to learn about school education post-independence period. When the independence happened, afterwards how the school education has changed. So this plays very important role, that is they have framed the national curriculum framework, development of mathematics curriculum as per NCF 2005 and RTE Act, means Right to Education Act 2009. What are they? We are going to see. Guiding principle of NCF 2005. What are the guiding principle of NCF 2005? Okay, you are going to learn this because you are going to write an assignment on this. Okay, what is the first one? Is connecting knowledge to life outside the school. So whatever knowledge the student is gaining in the school, that should be very much related to their day-to-day life. That is the first one. Second one is ensuring that learning is shifted away from the rote methods. It's not only the rote memory, they are going to memorize something and write it down. No, it's beyond that. Learning is beyond that. So that one, you should ensure that. Next is enriching the curriculum to provide for overall development of children rather than remain textbook centric. So overall development means their mental development, that is your cognitive skills has to be improved, and also their physical development. They have to go outside and play. They're physically developed, and their they should think about others. Others is also there, the social skills, so many other things. That is overall development of the child should happen. Okay, and we know cognitive, psychomotor, and affective, right? And affective domain also has to be taken care. That is overall development of the child. Beyond this, even spiritual development. There are so many other developments should happen for the child. Then making examination more flexible and integrated into classroom life. It should not be a rigid examination type. It should be of different types of examination, and sometimes students may attend, sometimes may not attend. It should be some sort of flexibility should be there, and it should be along with the normal classroom situation. It should not be something different. So these are the things which is dealt in the NCF 2005 mathematics curriculum as per NCF 2005. What is a mathematics curriculum? Children learn to enjoy mathematics rather than fear it. So you should ensure that they enjoy mathematics. They should not fear. That should not create a fear for the child. Next is children learn important mathematics. Mathematics is more than formulas and mechanical procedure. It's not only arithmetic process which is there in the mathematics, is beyond that. Students should understand, right? And most of the things we teach in the school is more of arithmetic, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and these are the skills, and how to square it, how to find the square root of the given number, how to solve this polynomial equation. It's not like that. It's not only arithmetic, it's beyond that. So child should understand. Children see mathematics as something to talk about, to communicate through, to discuss among them, to work together on. They should communicate in this class also. They should communicate in mathematics. So you should develop such an interest that students should be in a position to communicate in mathematics. They should work together in mathematics and all. So that is some sort of club, mathematics club, something like that. That is interesting for the child can be started for the school, right? Children pose and solve meaningful problems. They should be allowed to give some meaningful problems, and you should also give some meaningful problem to them, right? Children use abstractions to perceive relationships, to see structures, to reason out things, to argue the truth or falsity of the statements. So children should now abstract or perceive the relationships. Now they should, whatever is the real life situation, that should be converted into abstract things, and what is the relationship they should find, what is the structure there. All these students should understand. Children understand the basic structure of mathematics, that is arithmetic. What are the basic structure? It is arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and trigonometry. The basic concept areas of school mathematics all offer a methodology for abstractions, structure, structuration, and generalization. So these are the things students should learn in what is given here is NCF curriculum. This is according to the NCF curriculum, right? So this is what the NCF curriculum says. And then teacher engage. Next is the teacher engage. Teacher engage every child in class with the conviction that everyone can learn mathematics. So it should be very, it's not that only a few people can learn mathematics. I cannot learn. Students should not feel like that. Everybody can learn mathematics. That sort of feeling has to be developed. Next is, what is class 1 to 5? What is the syllabus? Geometry, that is shapes and spatial understanding, number and operation, mental arithmetic, money, measurement, data handling, and pattern. These are the overall things that should be covered from 1 to 5. And what should be covered from 5 to 8? Number system and playing with numbers, algebra, introduction and expression. It is only the introduction of algebra they will be seeing in the 8th standard. Ratio and proportion, geometry, that is basics of 2D and 3D. Then understanding steps, then understanding shapes, different shapes, understanding shapes, symmetry, construction, mensuration, data handling, introduction to graph. This all things students should learn from 6 to 8. Then 9th and 10th standard, a little bit higher, number system, algebra, coordinate geometry, mensuration, which they have learned. They will be continuing that, statistics and probability, and then trigonometry. Now trigonometry is introduced to the children, okay, bit difficult. So when they enter 9th standard, they feel bit difficult because they are going little bit to the abstract side of mathematics. Problem solving 40%, reasoning proof 20%, communication 10%, then overall is 100%, connections, visualization and representation, 15% academic standards. Then what is problem solving? According to NCF 2005, identify what is given, identify what is to be found, what is given, what is to be found, understand what concepts are involved for finding the problem, what are the concepts we need, and visualizing whole, the above items, whatever is given, need, visualizing in the whole, means understanding about everything, whatever is done as a whole. Then give ideas about procedures, formulas for the solution. You get the idea, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to use this formula, how I'm going to use all this procedure to solve the problem, different steps. I can say different steps to solve the problem. Next is selection of the best procedure or formula. So there are so many formulas, which formula will suit this particular question, you select the best. Then after selection, you substitute, then you calculate, that is manipulate, calculation, and finally arriving at the solution, right? And then whether solution is correct or not, therefore you verify it, and then conclusion, then generalize to everything. This is what I am going to do. Trying out other strategies, formulas, procedure for solution. Now we try, is there any other formulas or strategies available? Is there any shortcut available? Explaining procedures and reasoning, how you did it, you try to explain what are the steps you did. Then creating similar problems in various situations and with various types of numbers. So you can create a problem in various situations. Also, the complexity of the problems depends upon the following things. How complex the problem is, making connections as defined in connections situation. So means whether you are able to make any connections, which you have learned already. What are the number of steps involved in this? Number of operations, addition, multiplication, division, union, intersection. What are the operations involved in this? Context and labeling. What are the context is used here? And nature of procedures. What are the procedures I am going to use it? Then reasoning proof. When you reason the proof, what is there? So understanding and making mathematical generalization, intuitions and conjectures. What are the intuitions I'm using? What are the conjectures I'm using? What are the generalizations I'm using? Then understanding and justifying procedures. I'm giving some procedure. First I should understand I'm in the position to justify it, why I'm using it. Then examining logical arguments. So one after two, from 1 to 2, logically you have to argue how I arrived at step 2, equation 1, equation 2, adding 1 and 2, we get this equation 3, like this you have to argue it logically. Then uses inductive and deductive logic, wherever is applicable, where you should use accordingly. Next comes the communication. So writing and reading mathematical expression, you have to write and read it. Creating mathematical expression, explaining mathematical ideas in your own words, explaining mathematical procedures, explaining mathematical logic. You should be in a position to communicate others what you're doing. Then connections, connecting concept with a mathematical domain. Okay, that is relating, adding to multiplication parts of the whole to the ratio, to division, how you are going to do connection with the patterns and symmetry, all these connections you should be in a position to do it.